Dear readers, this is my third story submitted to this website. Just a couple of weeks ago, I submitted a story called Paranormal House. Just after typing in that story, I decided to read some other stories on this site, and I came across a story about demon haunting at night, and that reminded me of a memory that I had almost completely blocked from my memory because I thought I was crazy, and that I was the only one that had ever experienced such things. I soon began reading more and more stories about the same subject, and I also watched some documentaries about it too. So these are the memories that I had pretty much forgotten until now. When I was little, I remember that I used to fear the dark terribly, and I actually still do because of this. Whenever my grandmother would put me to bed, I would cry before she left the room and ask her to please leave the light on. But sometimes she wouldn't leave the light on, and she would also shut the door. And that's when the attacks would begin. I would be laying there, trying to get to sleep. Then all of a sudden, I could feel it come over me. The feeling that I was being paralyzed from the feet up. I could suddenly hear tons and tons of voices carrying on outside my door, and then in my room, and then everything would become silent. But I still couldn't move or talk, or even close my eyes. Then I would start to see the image of a dark and disfigured face of what I knew was a demon, even though I was very young at this time. And he would start talking to me in this very scary and very deep voice. He sounded very threatening. Anyway, I haven't had these attacks in years, but the memories are so vivid. Anyway, I have discovered that this is called sleep paralysis. The documentaries I was watching are all over YouTube. Please tell me if you think I'm crazy, or is there any way you can relate to my story? Growing up, I have had several experiences. A majority of my experiences happened at my house, but my most recent experience was at my church. Just a little background on my church. It is over 200 years old. In the 1800s, it used to be an old schoolhouse. There isn't any known deaths that happened at the church, but there is a cemetery right next to the church. On Halloween night, my youth group was having a scary movie night and a lock-in. My friend Chase, my brother's girlfriend Devana, and I were in the youth room watching Pet Cemetery. We were talking, and all of a sudden the room got cold. It was so cold that we could see our breath. Then the movie paused. We all got up and started to look for the DVD player's remote. I found the remote on the other side of the room. I was about to grab it when the movie went straight to the menu. I looked at Chase and Devana and told them that I did not touch the remote. As soon as those words left my mouth, we heard a deep voice say, "We found you." I felt 3 fingers touch my right shoulder blade. I screamed, "Something just touched me!" And we all got up and ran out of that church. Once we all calmed down, we went back into the church to tell the rest of the youth what happened. When I was telling everybody that I was touched, Chase yelled, "You're bleeding where you were touched." I lifted my shirt up and asked if there was anything there. Everyone looked at me with wide eyes. Chase took a picture and showed me. I looked at the picture and saw that there were 3 big claw marks. Later that night, my friend Julie and I were in the kitchen getting some ice. We heard what sounded like a chair being dragged and thrown up and down the hallway. When we looked in the hall, there wasn't anybody there. The rural Deep South is a place of legend, particularly for those with an interest in the things that go bump in the night. It seemed that the ancient woods and swamps are infested with spirits from a past life. One such place is a little secluded cemetery in northern Mississippi called Old Salem. It lies a good 10 miles out of town, far back in the woods with only one path leading to it. it being a one-lane gravel road with huge tangled trees encompassing both sides. Over the years, legends have cropped up, some involving shadow men darting through the cemetery, to black masses and demonic spirits. In the summer of 2011, myself and a group of friends went to the old Salem Cemetery. It was around 3 a.m. when we entered the cemetery gates. The air was warm and seemingly calm, and above us shone billions of bright stars. Were it not for the ominous feeling associated with Old Salem, it would have been a perfect and peaceful summer night. We were not very far into the graveyard when we heard a noise in the distance that at first sounded like coyotes. But we quickly realized it actually sounded like children laughing. The volume of the noise began to slightly increase and was followed by the sound of a woman screaming. The sounds were not coming from the cemetery itself, but rather from the area surrounding it. The dark trees echoed with the cries of children and some unknown lady. Being an amateur group, armed only with a single flashlight, it was inevitable that our courage would fail us. We departed the cemetery quickly. Since then, we have furthered our knowledge of the paranormal and created an arsenal of equipment needed for hunting spirits. After several investigations elsewhere, we returned to Old Salem, this time sporting a video camera, audio recorders, and EMF meters. We steeled ourselves for what could be waiting beyond the gates and entered, prepared for anything. As we ventured to the center of the graveyard, our EMF readings began to spike, especially near an iron-fenced area with an obelisk that had been knocked over and dragged. While we did not see anything with our own eyes, our equipment caught every investigator's dream. On the audio recorders, several discernible EVPs were captured, but the most incredible being a voice that hissed my name. Our camera captured what appeared to be a hooded man standing in the distance between some headstones, watching us as we moved about the cemetery. The video camera captures an arm seemingly reaching out between the headstones where the hooded figure was standing. This investigation was enough to completely convince me that this area was haunted, and at first caused me to refrain from returning to for quite some time. While it is small, Old Salem is one of the greater hotspots of paranormal activity in North Mississippi. Just the simple isolation of the area is enough to cause one's hair to stand on end. However far I venture, its eerie gates, surrounded by dark, ominous trees, always call me back. The thrill of the unknown, waiting amongst the dead. I'm pretty sure my daughter is friends with Saint Fina. She talks about her and Serafina all the time, and tells us that Serafina is a princess. What an odd name for a 4-year-old to randomly come up with. I didn't know anything about Saint Serafina until I Googled it. The only thing I came up with was Ben Affleck's daughter's name and this saint. No cartoon characters generated on the web search. So where did she get the name? Also, she twirls around talking to Princess Serafina. I'm not kidding here. The resemblance is uncanny. Last night, I opened my master bedroom door, and sitting in front of my daughter's door, we have hardwood floors, was a crumpled up piece of paper, a receipt, that was spinning by itself on the ground. Fast. When I stepped 1 foot forward, the paper abruptly stopped. When showing the spinning act to my wife, the paper wouldn't spin at all. It's almost like the floor was greased up. Just spinning. I understand that Saint Serafina was a spinner. Before the spinning incident, my wife and I had a huge fight. After, I was in my garage, talking to my mother about what I just saw. She brought up the negative vibes in the home. My garage door was open. I saw my dog walk across my driveway. I put down my cigarette to walk inside and grab the leash. I was in and out of my house within seconds since the leash was hanging on my key rack. When I returned, my cigarette was gone. Nowhere to be found. There was no wind in my garage, and as I stated before, I was only gone for seconds. These two events happening back to back. It was almost like something was telling me to chill out. I'm not crazy, but this is a very true story. Beaver Lake is an odd place. When you first drive up the entrance, all you see is a giant oak tree in the lake that's completely alive. There's no fish in the lake, no turtles, no crickets, or any insects can be heard. All of the vegetation on the shoreline is completely dead. Well, of course I had to check this place out. My cousin David and I grabbed our small tape recorder and headed to the lake. We got there, parked, and prepared to make ghost catching history. We went out on the floating dock and set up the recorder. Not a sound. Not a movement. Not even a feeling. Just a complete, all-encompassing silence. Deafening. Thick. Even though we were right next to a major road, we could hear nothing. We sat there for about an hour, then decided to leave. We got in the truck and decided to check our tape. You know, EVPs are mostly heard on playback. So we play it back from the beginning. Nothing. Just us talking. The sounds of water. We were thinking, bullocks, nothing here. We let it go for another 3 minutes or so, and decided to turn it off. Just as we were pressing stop, we heard a noise on the tape recorder. We pressed play. What we heard was horrible. It was a low, loud, gruntle scream roar followed by running footsteps right towards us on the dock. The footsteps stopped. Then a very quiet voice said, "Please, help." We left the lake, shake, but determined to go back there one day to get more evidence. We never did though. Honestly, I'm kind of glad that we didn't. I hope you ghouls enjoyed these Mississippi ghost stories. I am recording this at like 11 at night. I'm ready to go to bed. I did all these showings and oh my goodness, it was crazy. But I hope you ghouls are pumped for the stream tomorrow. It's gonna be a chill stream because we're gonna do chill stream and then we're gonna do our serious stream. Then we're gonna do a chill stream and then we're gonna do a serious stream. Or maybe we'll be like chill, serious, 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 chill. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I hope you ghouls will be there. Question of the day. What's your favorite color? I don't think I asked you ghouls what your favorite color was. My favorite color is obviously red. And then close runner-up is neon green. So let me know in the comments, ghouls, what's your favorite color? I'm curious. I want to get to know you better. But as always, my last video will be on the top left. My next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen, as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.